Welcome back to Up the Villa. This is our match preview for Brighton against Aston Villa in the Premier League. If you are new around here, make sure you are subscribing. Get on the journey with us. Comment your thoughts. Goes off like a fan forum every single time in the comment section. And smash the likes. Let's go big. Let's go 1,000 likes on this match preview. The sun has been shining. Villa are off to Wembley. What a time to be a Villa fan. Champions League on the horizon and Premier League trying to get European football as well. So on today's episode, we're going to go tactically. We're going to take a look at Brighton, how they set up, where are their danger players. We're going to have a look at Aston Villa. We're going to predict the lineup. We're going to merge the two teams together. And we're going to have a look at where the key battles on the football pitch are going to be. But this is a big game. The narrative around a 6-pointer gets thrown around. But this is a 6-pointer because if Aston Villa win, we go level on points with Brighton. That could go 6 points in front of us, which is something that we don't want to happen. So it's a huge game. It's a big game at the Amex. Under the lights at the Amex on Wednesday. It's going to be a tactical battle. Villa go into it really confident. Clean sheets galore at the minute, which is absolutely mental off the back of going into the semi-final of the FA Cup at Wembley. Confidence is very high. Brighton have been doing really well after their battering against Nottingham Forest in the league. They went on a big, mad run of winning games, which, to be fair to them, massive credit because when you do lose by a massive scoreline, you know, you could start to creak, it could start to crumble, but they're regrouped and they are doing really well in the Premier League off the back of a penalty loss to Forest. So that's, you know, probably going to affect them a little bit confidence-wise. You know, you want to reach Wembley and they didn't do that. So they've got a couple of injuries as well. Rutter went off, Webster went off, who's been playing really well. So, you know, Brighton, they're having a really good season, a little bit like the season they had when they got Europe for the first time. They are so good going forward. They're dynamic. Their system is very, very attacking. It's creative. And their manager is doing really, really well this season. They did go through a little bit of a blip, but Hertzler has been able to come through that and has got them playing some really, really good football. So we'll have a look at their system now on how they play and what they try to do. And then we'll have a little look at some of the images that I've picked up on areas of weakness, especially in this Brighton team. So they line up in a kind of like a 4-4-2 shape, but that's not the shape that they really want to be in. What they want to be in is they want to be in this 4-2-4 shape. So the 4-2-4 enables Baleba and Ayari in the centre to try and dominate the centre of the pitch. Minta and Matoma will press really high and support Welbeck and Pedro, who I expect will start this game. A little bit hybrid in the sense of Espunin will go forward and Hinselwood, who is a central midfielder, will try and look as well to make a 2-4-4, so a reverse 4-4-2. These are the types of shapes that they really want to get into. Hinselwood can as well sort of sometimes make up a little bit of a back three if that's how they want to move and get forward as well. So this is a general sort of shift and shape of the makeup of this Brighton team. We know that Matoma will want to drive and get into that area. That's where he will want to have his heat map and be doing a lot of damage. We've got Minta on the opposite side as well. But we've also got the ability for one of these two players to drop a little bit deeper. And then you've got runners moving off those as well. So this is the shape in which they really want to get into. And we know that Villa are really good at exploiting teams that do tend to try and leave that back two as well. So what I've decided to show you as well is I've tried to show you an image now of a perfect Brighton scenario with the average positions. And I think sometimes it's really good when you're sort of trying to analyse a team to go to a game where they are completely dominant, because when you go to a game that's completely dominant, it can show you where their players want to get into with their structure. Obviously, if you're showing a structure against, say, Man City, Arsenal, where you're not having much of the ball, it's very difficult to sometimes pick up on where certain areas that I want to get into because they're being pushed back, etc. So I've got two. I've showed you now against Southampton, and then I've also got Man City, so we can see a bit of a comparison. So I think my logic is working. So what we can see is that we've really got that reverse 4-4-2 fully in operation here. We've got the two centre halves here, and we've got both fullbacks here and here. So we can kind of see what I mentioned, where you'll get that back three a little bit, where the right back, isn't really venturing and having a high position. He's a little bit deeper. Left back is a little bit higher. We've got the midfield two of 26 and 20, and then we've got that front four as well. So here against Southampton, you can really see that the team was in the position in which Brighton and Hertzler would really want his team to be in. And there's two areas, especially in this team, that I think Villa will be able to exploit, and I really want to see Villa players in and around those positions, but we'll go into them in a second. So what I'm going to show you now is against Man City. So this was a game not too long ago. So here we've got now against Man City, and just like I was talking about, you can kind of see that when you're playing against better opposition, you can sometimes get dragged out of position a little bit. So what we've got here is we've got the two again. We've also got the midfield two, and then we've got the two fullbacks as well. So the two fullbacks will offer that width and make up that midfield four. And then we've got that front four as well. So ideally, number 14, you'd probably want him in and around that position if it's an ideal scenario. But again, you can kind of see the makeup between the two games that they played. It's a very similar formation, and there is a gap somewhere else that's been freed up as well. But we'll go to that in a second. Right. Now, here we've got screen grabs of images of this formation starting to get into a situation where they want to be really comfortable in their build-up shape. So we've got wide player. We've got the two in the middle. And then here we've got the two central midfielders. And then if I just move that there, you've got a player here, player here, player here. So what we've got then, and I'm going to show you the area that I want Aston Villa to be exploiting, here and here. Either side of that midfield two, this is the area that Villa need to be exploiting, because as we saw from the image just here is that same position of space. Either side of that midfield two is the area that Villa should be doing most of our work. Driving forward, finding space, players drifting into that space as well. And that is the area that I think we can really hurt this Brighton team. Again, you can see now that we've got a image of when they're getting into a structured shape. We've got a front four through there. We've got a defender. So you've got that back four as well. And then you've got probably a player that's off screen. But the big thing about this Brighton team, and this was what was made of them early season, was they don't really play with a midfield as such, but we've got massive amounts of space in and around Baleba in there. One thing to pick up on Gibbs White as well, and I've spotted this so we can talk about this going into the game at the weekend as well. Gibbs White always takes up a position on one of the opposition players' better players. He's always ratting around that area, because if that ball does break when they are on transition, if he beats his man and wins his duel, they're able to break and drive forward. So Gibbs White's positioning is always sitting on a player. So you can already see as well that there's space here, there's space there as well. And you really want to, when they're teams set like this, we've also got space in behind both of these fullbacks as well. So, long ball forward, quickly, pace, driving forward, always on that sort of half turn, looking to go. So when a player of quality gets the ball, head up, look to go long. So that's generally how they play, how they set up, how they're building, what sort of shapes that they're in. If we have a little look at the sort of heat maps on where those players are looking to get into in the positions where they're doing a lot of damage, Nottingham Forest at the weekend really did well in shutting them down and not allowing them many touches in the 18-yard box. So we've got the right back in Hinslewood. So you can see that he did a lot of his defensive work sort of in his own half, was getting into the opposition half. We've got Esper Punin as well, who's sort of not really getting to that byline either. We've got Van Hecker and we've got Webster. We've then got wide players in Rutter and Minter. We've got Matoma and Ayari. And then up top, we've got Danny Welbeck. So not really many touches inside the 18-yard box. Trying to force them and push them away from goal is really important because they are really good at sort of rotating amongst that front four, moving around, dragging players out of position. Once you've dragged someone with you, can you find some space in behind as well? So they are a really good team, but they're a team that I think we can, do some damage on, really. So what we're going to do is we're going to predict the Villa lineup, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to predict it on the shape in which Brighton want to get into as well. And then we can do a little bit more of a sort of tactical piece on the whole landscape of this tactical game. So what I am going to say is I think that there is going to be a little wild card in here. There's going to be one of those where you see the team sheet on Wednesday and you're like, oh, wow, he's done it. He's gone with him. Right. And I'm picking this game plan now based on how I want to hurt Brighton. Right. So my team is going to look like this. Maatsen is going to be at left back. I kind of feel like Maatsen didn't play much. Well, didn't come on against Preston, if I can remember. So the fact that Digne played all game, Maatsen didn't really feature, tells me that Maatsen might start this game. That might have been in Unai's thinking. It's definitely mine. I'm going to go with Mings and I'm going to go with Konsa. And I am going to go with, let me find him for you, Disasi. So that's going to be my back five. I am then going to go with Yuri Tielemans and I am going to go with Boubacar Kamara. So that is going to be my back five plus double pivot. There, you can see it, right? So that is going to be my back five. Then what we're going to do is this is why I've gone with this team here right now. I don't want Kamara to be screening and making up a back three if this is Cash. So if this was Cash, what we'd be doing is, let's move Disasi out the way a minute. So if this was Cash here, what we'd have to do is we'd have to have Kamara actively acting as a third centre-back when we are building up. And I don't really want us to be able to do that in this game because I want Kamara to be fully focused on this game, to be winning the battle in that midfield too there. That's what I want Kamara doing. We've seen this season that last season we were like this. This season, we very much on the same line. So I want Kamara to be pressing and to be engaging. So to have a fullback that's going to be attacking would mean that Kamara wouldn't be able to really do that as such. He's going to have to work around there. But with Disasi in there, it means that Kamara doesn't have to do that because we've already got the back three set up with Mings, Konsa, and Disasi as well. So that's my reasoning for going with Disasi over an attacking fullback. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, and this is where I imagine everybody's team will be totally different for whatever you want. But my team is going to consist of the following. I'm going to stick with Ramsey on the left. I think Ramsey is playing really well. I don't want to take him out the team because I think we take him out the team. Ramsey, for me, is a player that needs to be playing when he's confident. And when he's confident, we get the best out of him. So Ramsey starts for me. Then that leaves the conundrum of what's going to happen up top. So I am going to go with Marcus Rashford up top. He starts this game for me as Aston Villa's striker. And then I am also going to go with a player that people don't like on the right, but I'm going to go with Rodgers on the right. And I'll tell you why. Because Marlon's starting. Now, Marlon starts, Rodgers starts. What this enables us to do is it enables us to rotate. So Rodgers can come inside, Marlon can go out wide as well. And these two have got the flexibility and the freedom to both be able to interchange and move around. Rodgers can drop back. We've also got Marlon that can drop back and help and work out for the team. Ramsey can do exactly the same. But within this game, what I want and how we beat Brighton is pace, power, and ball carriers. That is how we win this game. We need our best ball carriers playing, because if you also note and have a look as well, that if Rodgers, and remember what I said when we went back to those images, the two circles either side. So if we have a look at where those circles are, so the circles are either side of this midfield two is where you can find space and where we will be able to get runners and get dribblers and get ball carriers on the ball driving forward. Then the two best ones we've got at Aston Villa are Jacob Ramsey and Rodgers. Both of those picking up the ball either side of that Brighton midfield, driving forward, and then head up what's in front of us. Pace. Players that can run. Pace, drifting into a channel, making those runs through the centre-backs of Brighton. Both of these players have got so much pace and so much power. Some might say, why are you not going with Watkins then? And the reason why I'm not going with Watkins is because if it's Rashford and Watkins, I don't think either can drop into that midfield role there. I think both will want to stay, and we know Rashford stays wide. I don't think we want them dropping into those areas, but I think Marlon is the one that can drop. And we saw, he can move around those little areas. So tactically, I think that works well. So those are areas in which I think we can beat this Brighton team. Again, 1v1, Disasi up against Matoma. I think Disasi is aggressive. Maatsen and Minter, I think, can be fine as well. So Maatsen as well can drift into those little areas when Villa have got possession as well. So, we can play a little bit more central. So this would be my team. I think for a game plan, I think it could work absolutely perfectly. But it will be interesting to see what we do. I think we've also seen over the years that when we're playing up against these two strikers that are isolated, you want pace in and around them. You want to be able to drag them out of position, etc. So I think this would be my team. I've thought about it a lot, and it's just the team that I feel like best suits what we're going to be coming up against, but it is a game that, we really need to be winning. And I think confidence-wise, if you can win this, it'll put us in such a really good position. And I think the players are all now starting to talk about this part of the season. I heard Ramsey's interview after the game sort of saying that we need to have the best. These 2 months now need to be the best 2 months of our season. And it is absolutely correct, to be fair. So, yeah, absolutely huge. So that's just a little tactical breakdown of what I think can come. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Let me know what your predicted lineups would be in the comment section as well. I'm intrigued to see what you would go with. If you've got this far and you're not subscribed, subscribe, smash the likes. Let's try and get 1,000. Let's try and get 1,000. I think that episode's worth 1,000 likes, and it's free to hit the like button, so you may as well. Yeah, comment your thoughts. Up the Villa.